Since we have the opportunity to have such an eminent crowd of central bank figures also, as well as commercial banking, we have the opportunity to ask both our speakers some questions. We have time for maybe 2 or 3 questions, if we could circulate the mics around. If you have a question, please just raise your hand, we'll send the mic. Please do identify yourself, and if I could request you to keep your questions brief so we can take, well, as many as time will allow. There's a question in the front here.
बड़ा खतरनाक सवाल आ रहा है ये शाह साहब आप बाद में पूछ लीजिएगा हमसे नहीं प्लीज माइक
सारी डेवलपमेंट तो सवाल से होती है
जी
यही है सवाल को encourage First of all, congratulations to the organizers, Hamza, and thank you for excellent start, Saleem Ullah Saab and Zafar Saab. So, मेरी request and सवाल यही है. I think obviously SMEs are too important, far too important for the economy. But I would suggest that, you know, in 21st centuries, SMEs should be the startups. So when we add the word new and young and ideas and technologies, you know, tech-enabled new SMEs with brilliant ideas will actually make them startups. So I would humbly submit to the State Bank and to the banking sector to take leadership of this risk-based SMEs and promote creating that ecosystem will really transform Pakistan, really. Otherwise, we are left behind. So I just wanted to, you know, give this provocative idea. I know it's risky, and banks are risk-averse, but I think that banks are also warehouses of risk. So we need to take, you know, the new world, you know, up front. So, and one suggestion is that, you know, we don't have in Pakistan any accelerator. We have incubation centers, no accelerators like Y Combinator, which has changed the world. So if, you know, most important people are sitting in this, I think, hall, and if you guys take the leadership of these few things, we can change Pakistan. Thank you.
There's a question right next to Ji sir.
Thank you. My questions to both the learned speakers, Saleem Saab and Zafar Saab. And it is based on my practical experience and been dealing with the SMEs for a while from Federation of Pakistan Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So do you agree still the issue for the growth of SMEs and access to finance? There was time when it was similar prudential regulations for corporate sector and SMEs. We, through the State Bank of Pakistan, initiated a dialogue, and after some time, there was a separate regulation, prudential regulation was formed for the SMEs, which was based on cash flow lending by the banks. But actually, still the bank insists the collateralizations of the assets, which the SMEs don't have, because they are mostly on the rented space. And to me, it is one of the serious issues for the growth of SMEs in Pakistan. So kindly look at into either the banks to be advised that there is a guaranteed some percentage of every year, some amount to be kept or allocated for the SMEs financing, and that is to be on cash flow basis, not on collateral basis. Thank you so much.
Zafar Saab, Saleem Ullah Saab, if you'd like to respond to both the comment and the question.
One, first question with respect to the startups. You'd have listened to Zafar Saab's speech that one of the initiatives that is being taken by PBA is establishing this sort of a private equity fund to help these startups. So you would see that not only in Pakistan, but globally, there are special funds, there are special initiatives, there are special institutions which fund these startups. Normally, the banks are not having that sort of a infrastructure and orientation that they would be funding directly to the startups and to the venture capital funds, because the banks are dealing with the public money, and they have their own contribution is just 5-6%. 90-95% is the public money that the bank is managing. That public money has to be properly secured and the risks has to be covered. But that doesn't mean that we must not help and support the startups. The development of this, Zafar Sahab would be divulging on that. It's a very positive initiative. Then Farooq Sahab is sitting here, that we must promote non-banks, the private equities and venture capital funds, those funds attracting the investors having that risk appetite, so that if there are ups and there are downs, they will be able to tap the ups, and they should be able to absorb the losses, because the risk appetite is compatible with that very sector. One thing that I would like to conclude my comment on this is that this doesn't mean that banks should not increase their risk appetite. There is a need for the banks that they must increase their risk appetite, so that coming to the next question of Beg Sahab, that cash flow based lending could be ensured. This mindset that I will also only be giving the collateralized lendings, that obviously there will be collaterals as well, but there should be cash flow based lending based on a very positive initiative abhi jo Zafar Sahab ne baat ki with respect to that development of that social, environmental and performance index of the SMEs. And that on the basis of that, they will be able to develop a scorecard, which is a very, very positive development. And that will, inshallah, lead to that very area. And lastly, I just touched upon the risk coverage that we have already put in place for the SMEs. So that risk coverage should also give that comfort to the banks and improve their risk appetite, because first loss coverage is already available to them. Zafar Sahab, please.
शुक्रिया सलीम साहब। एक तो वो सलीम साहब ने शुरू में फरमाया था डिसअपॉइंटिंग, मैंने भी एम्फसाइज़ किया था ऑफ एफएसएमईज़। देखिए, जो ट्रैवल ऑफ चेंज है वो शुरू होता है रिकग्निशन से। कम से कम हमने आज खड़े होके ये बात तो रिकग्नाइज़ की है कि देयर इज़ अ नीड टू रैम्प अप एंड मेक मोर एफर्ट्स विच वर लैकिंग इन द पास्ट। बात ये है बड़ी सिंपल सी कि वी रिक्वायर अ साइकिक चेंज। थोड़ा हमें जो है वो ज़्यादा अपने दिमाग को चेंज करना पड़ेगा और एक्सेप्ट करना पड़ेगा कि ये रिस्क हमें लेना है, जिस तरह फरमा रहे थे शाह साहब भी। और वो प्रॉब्लम ये है कि कुछ वो होता है बाय सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन, कुछ होता है वो जिस पे जब आपके सर के ऊपर पड़ जाती है तो कोई चॉइस नहीं होता। तो हमने वो दिन भी देखे हैं व्हेन आई वाज इन सिटी बैंक के we used to run really for the business across the city, और बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता था, इनोवेशन लेके आनी पड़ती थी। वो अभी गवर्नमेंट फाइनेंसिंग की वजह से बहुत बढ़ गई है, और जिस तरह सलीम साहब फरमा रहे थे कि रेट की वजह से भी बहुत बढ़ गई है। इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ टाइम इंशाल्लाह ताला व्हेन इट विल कम डाउन, एंड देन वी हैव टू पुट आवर एक्ट टुगेदर। सो माइट एज वेल स्टार्ट नाउ टू बी prepared for that kind of situation, and that's where the industry is heading to. सलीम साहब ने उम्र बात ये की थी पार्टनरशिप्स की, मैं उसको रीइंफसाइज़ करना चाहूँगा। हम बैंकर्स की थोड़ी सी साइकी ये होती है कि हम वी थिंक दैट वी कैन डू एवरीथिंग एंड वी वुड लाइक टू डू एवरीथिंग आवरसेल्व्स। मेरी गुजारिश ये होगी कि अब थोड़ा सा ओपन माइंडेड होके हम लोगों को डिजिटल बैंक और टेलकोस के साथ अभी टाई अप करना पड़ेगा, जिस तरह सलीम साहब फरमा रहे थे। अदरवाइज आई एम टेलिंग यू दे विल गिव अस रन फॉर मनी, not right away, but in the due course of time. So might as well start working on them now to be part of that ride of growth that these businesses will face in future. That's why earlier मैंने ہمایوں کا بھی نام لیا اور فاروق کا بھی 2 دفعہ نام لیا, بیکاز میرے خیال سے وہاں بہت بڑی اپرچونیٹی ہے دونوں طرف, ایک طرف ڈیٹا کی طرف اور دوسری طرف ڈیلیوری کی طرف. شاہ صاحب آپ نے جو بات کی تھی وہ بالکل درست ہے, اور وہ اتفاق سے بیگ صاحب کی بات سے بالکل وہ کوریبریٹ ہوتی ہے. ہماری سائیکالوجی آج بھی جو ہے نا وہ بینکوں کی وہ بہت زیادہ کولیٹرل ڈریون ہے. اب وہ آہستہ آہستہ شفٹ ہو رہی ہے بائی دا وے ود دا پیسیج آف ٹائم, بیکاز وی ہیو لرنڈ اٹ دا ہارڈ وے. We learnt it the hard way. Even lending against the government guarantee had warranted a restructuring that we are all lurking our wounds with right now. اتفاق سے آپ کے دونوں رائٹ اور لیفٹ پہ دونوں وہ حضرات بیٹھے ہیں جو میرے ساتھ مل کے اس کو ہم لوگ بلکہ بیچ میں بھی بیٹھے ہوئے ہیں کہ ہمیں وہاں پر بھی یہ ریئلائز کرنا چاہیے کہ اگر کیش فلوز جو ہے وہ ہمیں نظر نہیں آ رہے ہیں تو غالباً ہمیں اتنا اگریسو ہونے کی ضرورت نہیں ہے. آئی تھنک وہ ایک سائیکولوجیکل, جس سے میں نے کہا کہ ایک تھوڑا سا مینٹل چینج کی ضرورت ہے. We have to work on this, and with the passage of time دیکھیے جب وہ سر پہ پڑے گی آ کے تو خود ہی ٹھیک ہو جائے گا. We have already been thrown in the deep end. آپ نے ایکسیلریٹرس کی بات کی, بہت اچھی بات ہے. منیر صاحب اور نجیب and myself, we are working on setting up a private equity fund, not a very large one, but to begin with ایک starting point ضرور بن جائے گا. اس کے اندر ہم لوگ کوشش یہ کر رہے ہیں کہ ہم کسی درس و تدریس کی انسٹیٹیوشن کے ساتھ ٹائی اپ کر لیں. میں نام نہیں لینا چاہتا جان کے, کیونکہ ابھی ہمارا ان کے ساتھ کولیبریشن نہیں ہوا. اگر وہ ہو جاتا ہے تو جو ایکسیلریٹر والا پیس ہے وہ NIC کے تھرو ویل بی ایبل ٹو آفر اینڈ ٹیک اٹ فارورڈ. سو وہ دیٹس ویری مچ آن دا کارڈز, اینڈ تھینک یو ویری مچ فار یور سجیشن آن دس.
Is this
Just one there's actually just one question. He's had his hand up for a while, but if I could request this to be the last question, I'm really, really sorry. I'll call on you at a later time. If we could just make it very brief, sir.
Yeah. My name is Faisal. I'm from Hugo Bank. I have a question from the panel that we're talking about unlocking open banking, right? So, but how are we seeing unlocking open banking without a clear direction about the data ownership, because the ambiguity on data ownership is quite similar. So any thoughts on that?
If I could request the panel, just few brief thoughts and then we move on.
You see, this data is owned by the consumers. It's the consumer's data. That should be very clear. And the consumer will allow that whether his or her data can be shared or not. It will not be the banks or the financial institutions who would be deciding that which data it is. It is the consumer, my data. I am the one who would be deciding that can it be shared by the bank or not. It is the consumer's ownership. Thank you very much.
جی ویری بریفلی, بہت اچھا سوال پوچھا ہے. آپ کا نام کیا ہے؟
فیصل.
کس بینک میں آپ؟ بہت اچھا سوال پوچھا ہے. دیکھیں سب سے بڑا جو چیلنج ہے نا اس وقت وہ ڈیٹا ایکسیس ہی ہے, ایکسیس ٹو دا ڈیٹا. اور یہ ایکسیس ٹو دا ڈیٹا جو ہے نا یہ بہت بڑا. ذرا تھوڑی سی تصویر بعد میں ان کی بنا لیجیے گا, میں ذرا ان سے آئی کانٹیکٹ کرنا چاہ رہا ہوں. بھائی صاحب, ہاں شکریہ. سو یہ بہت امپورٹنٹ بات آپ نے کی ہے. میں نے اسی لیے اپنے ریمارکس میں خاص طور سے ڈیٹا ایکسیس کی بات کی تھی فار نادرا. سو نادرا پہ ڈیٹا کا ایکسیس تو ہے بٹ وہ مہنگا بہت ہے, ٹھیک ہے. جو لارجر پرابلم ہے وہ کولیبریشن آف دا ڈیٹا کی ہے. سو ڈیٹا بینکوں کے پاس بھی ہے, ڈیٹا ٹیلکوز کے پاس بھی ہے, اینڈ آپ کو حیرت ہوگی, آئی ایم شیور آپ کو پتہ بھی ہوگا کہ کتنا قیمتی ڈیٹا جو ہے وہ ریزائڈ کر رہا ہے پاور کمپنیز کے پاس, اور وہ سینٹرلائزڈ ایجنسی میں موجود ہے. سو دس ہولڈ دس ڈیٹا بیس, اینڈ دین آف کورس نادرا کا اپنا ڈیٹا ہے. اگر سم ہاؤ ہم اس کو کولیبریٹ کر سکیں اور ایک ڈیٹا ایکسچینج بن سکے, میں ریکویسٹ کروں گا سلیم صاحب سے, اینڈ ویل ورک وتھ سلیم صاحب آن دس, کہ ہم ڈیٹا ایکسچینج کے اوپر بھی کام کریں, اینڈ ہاؤ دیٹ ڈیٹا کین دین بی شیئرڈ. دیکھیے کسٹمر کا نام لینا ضروری نہیں ہے. میں نے ایک پروجیکٹ پہ کام کیا تھا بہت بڑا, جس میں ہم نے BISP کا ڈیٹا کو ایکسیس کرنا تھا. وہ بھی بڑا قیمتی ڈیٹا ہے بائی دا وے. تو اس میں بھی یہ اعتراض تھا ان کو کہ ہم آپ کو ڈیٹیل نہیں دیں گے کسٹمر کی. تو ہم نے کہا آپ ہمیں صرف اتنی ایکسیس ضرور دے دیں, कि हम हाँ और ना पता कर सकें कि इस क्रेडिट का क्या है, या उस क्रेडिट की एक हिस्ट्री टाइप का स्कोर कार्ड हम डेवलप कर लेंगे। ये बैठे हुए सलमान यहाँ पर इनके साथ मिलके कुछ ना कुछ ऐसे डेवलप कर लेंगे कि कोई मिडल ऑफ द रोड टाइप की चीज़ बन जाए, बट वो डेटा अगर हमें मिल जाता है ना तो दैट विल बी अ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनल थिंग फॉर द एंटायर इंडस्ट्री। वो इस वक्त सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज है। आप ज़रा PTA से जाके कहें तो सही आपको टेलको डेटा दे दें। आई एम टेलिंग यू, वो जुए शीर से के मुतरादिफ है, उससे वहाँ से लेके आना, ये इट्स नॉट ईजी एट ऑल, इट्स अ वेरी डिफिकल्ट थिंग, बट वो हो गया तो इट विल बी अ पाथ ब्रेकिंग रेवोल्यूशनरी। सलीम साहब ऑलरेडी इज़ वर्किंग ऑन टेक्सोनॉमी। हमने ऑफ़र किया है PBA ने कि हम उनके साथ काम करें क्लाइमेट के लिए। वी कैन वर्क सिमिलरली ऑन द डेटा साइड ऑल्सो। सलीम साहब विद यू।
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the question. Zafar साहब, I think चाय तो इनके साथ बनती है, फैसल साहब के साथ बिल्कुल वो तो हम कर लेंगे, but thank you very much Saleem साहब and Zafar साहब for your thoughts. As we wind up this inaugural session, I'd like to take the opportunity now to acknowledge our speakers, panelists, sponsors and partners, and I request Saleem Ullah saab, Zafar saab, if I could request Monis Rahman and Hamza Hashmi to join me on stage and help hand out the mementos. Conference partner Mr. Monis Rahman to receive from Dukan to receive a memento, please. I'd also like to let you know that if you log on to the conference website, which is digibap.com, you'll be able to see a live stream of this event also throughout the day. Please do share it with your work colleagues and contacts so that they can also learn from the knowledge that is shared here. This is Monis Rahman, our conference partner from Dukan. Next is, we'd like to thank the CEO of Bank of Punjab, who is also our diamond sponsor, Zafar Saab. May I request Mr. Nofal to join me on stage? Next, I'd like to invite our digital technology partner, the CEO of Euronet Pakistan, Mr. Kashif Gaya. Next, I'd like to invite our gold partner, Easy Pesa, and the CEO of Telenor Microfinance Bank, Mr. Kashif. To help ease things along, I'm going to announce the names. If you can just kind of come a little closer to the stage, I think it'll go a little bit faster for me. Our next, I'd like to thank our gold partners, Jazz Cash, and if I could request the Chief Product Officer, Mr. Amir Aftab, to join us on stage. Thank you for the patience. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the gold partner, Jazz Cash, and this is Mr. Ahmed Aftab. He's the Chief Product Officer. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Salman Akhtar, who is the CEO of Adelphi, who is the gold partner for the conference. May I request Mr. Atif Malik, who's the Chief Operating Officer at JS Bank, who is also a gold partner for the conference. If I could request the President and CEO of the National Bank of Pakistan, Mr. Rahmat Ali Hasni, who is also the gold partner for the event. And representing our gold partner is Innovative Private Limited, and I would like to request the CEO, Mr. Naveed Ali Beg, to join me on stage. Next is our partners, Al Baraka Bank Pakistan Limited. I would like to invite the CEO of the bank, Mr. Mohammed Atif Hanif. If you could just kind of stay close by. Thank you, sir. Please join us on stage, Atif Saab. And Al Baraka Bank is the silver partner for this conference. Also silver partners for this conference are JBS and Hisab Kitab, and I would like to request Mr. Heather Wahab to join me on stage. While Heather Saab makes his way on stage, may I request a representative of Pak Oman, who is our tea sponsor, to make his way or her way towards the stage, please. So the representative from Pak Oman, who is also the tea sponsor. Is anyone here from Pak Oman? And equally important, the tea is also running throughout the day, so that is very, very good. Is there anyone here from Digital Symmetry Group? I don't know if Sarosh Saab is here. But our digital partners are Symmetry Group. And representing, of course, our international partner, Symphotex, I will request Hamza Hashmi to kindly receive the memento for Symphotex, who is also a sister concern of TerraBiz based out of Dubai. May I request all those who have received plaques, so all the sponsors, speakers who I've already announced, if you could kindly join us on stage for a group photograph. Group photograph? It's important.
So all the speakers who are available in the hall, may please join us on stage, because we have this opportunity to have a group photograph with the chief guests. So all the speakers, panelists, moderators, regardless of their session, please join us. And all the chief executives of the sponsor banks and institutions are also kindly join us on the stage, please. After that, we straight run into the chief executive panel.
So all speakers, panelists who are going to be speaking or being on a panel throughout the day, if we could request you to join us on stage, as well as all the sponsors and the chief executives of the sponsored banks.